And we are back. Welcome back, everybody, to this live stream. This time we are here for the qualifying session ahead of the San Marino Grand Prix here at Misano. I am once again JW97, and I'm once again joined by Yuri.
Terve.
As you can see, we have a dry qualifying session here, so no rain expected. So, might as well ask you, Yuri, if you're willing to do any predictions. Who do you believe will be eliminated in the first part of qualifying?
Both Williams, I think both Aston Martins. That's four. Then I think it's going to be Waldinger and De Rosa.
I'm going to say both Williamses, both Aston Martins, Alfa Romeo, and I'm also going to say a McLaren as well. But we shall see, of course, as the seconds tick down for this session to begin. Of course, I didn't mention this in practice, but the tyres we're using is the hard tyre. So that means because we used the hard tyres in the previous session, the previous race, I should say, it means that they can't be used from the German Grand Prix for the German Grand Prix. They'll be ineligible, so it means that it'll either be the softs or the mediums that get used for the German Grand Prix. But anyway, Amelia Wilson has come out onto the track. She's the first onto the racetrack, joined by Kirishima De Rosa. And judging from what I saw in the on Discord and also in Twitter, it seems that everybody seems to like the new McLaren liveries, which is good to see. So that's that really, as Wilson now then will make her way towards the hairpin. Now I'm going to read the predictions that you guys have got in the stream chat. So Dennis has said both Williamses, both Aston Martins and both Alfa Romeos will be eliminated. Ra has said both Williamses, both Astons and Alfa and a McLaren. So the same prediction as what I said. So anyway, as we now look at Amelia Wilson, who's just making her way through the quadruple right-hander. And I talked about in practice, could there be a chance that she could get held up by some traffic? Well, only 13 cars have so far gone out onto the racetrack, so there is a possibility that Wilson could get held up here, given the length of this track. So we'll wait and see on that one. But anyway, Wilson just coming out of the final turn as she starts her first flying lap of Q1 now. Then she starts her lap now then as you head down towards the first corner. A very medium speed first turn, but you've got to slow it down for turn 2. And then it's flat, a little bit of a lift actually through turn 3, and then flat on the power for the rest of it. Luckily, the traffic in front of her is just a little bit too far away, so she looks like she's not going to get held up. Through the double right-hander, the second part being flat, then a medium speed turn 6, and then down this back straight, where I'm pretty sure we're going to see a lot of overtaking being done during the race tomorrow, as Wilson does a 24.419 in the first sector, heading down towards the hairpin now then, using a bit of curb on the inside and a tad bit on the outside before she makes her way towards the double right-hander now then. So the flat through the first part and then slowing it down through the second part, and now it's down through this next back straight, which takes you onto the quadruple right-hander now then. So the first part of it is flat, and so is the second part. So the first one flat as a 47.069 in the millisecond, flat for the second part, a little bit of braking through to the third part, and then breaking it down through into turn 4, this hairpin for the fourth part of that quadruple right-hander. Now into the final two turns, flat through the penultimate corner, and then just a tap on the brakes through into the final turn now then, and using a bit of curb on the outside, and in fact missing the curb on the outside on that occasion for Wilson. The benchmarker time, a 1:09.182. De Rosa goes quicker by over a second. Coupot then goes quicker by a tenth of a second. Here comes George Roque in the Red Bull now then. Across the line, he will now go in the Red Bull, and he goes only second with that time. Not the best of first laps for Roque there, as Byrne goes 3 tenths quicker, 1:10.598. Chatfield, only fifth on that occasion, slots in behind Kirishima De Rosa. Here comes Ace Perinen in the Renault now then, as he will now come out the final turn and across the line. He will go now then and goes into 6th position only with that lap, so not the best first laps for him. P6 for Martins there, as Lopez goes into 2nd place, as we now look at Jamie Griffiths in the Williams, just making his way out of the final turn there, and across the line he will go in the Williams car, and he goes into 10th place. P7 for Rahul Patel. Laura Chung across the line goes into 8th. Here comes Michael Mocho on his first flying lap. Across the line he will go, goes into 5th position. Joseph Willows in the second of the McLarens now comes across the line himself. Where's he going to go? He goes into 8th, made that 9th now because thanks to some slipstream, goes to the top, but only by 7,000 of a second, as Galloway goes into 6th position. Andre Vaderi across the line goes 15th. Bent Valdinger across the line goes 15th himself, as Barches Kloss goes 13th. Roman Quarg across the line, he will go in the second Renault, goes into 10th position, so not the best of first laps for the two Renault drivers, 10th and 16th at the moment. Sontag goes 21st, made that last lap because Gao, thanks to a hold-up, is only 16th for that lap. But yeah, a very, very confusing leaderboard at the moment, Yuri.
Yeah, looks pretty mixed all over the place. Of course, short track, so the gaps are going to be small. But yeah, say I think Perinan might
Yep.
might have.
Yeah, I was just trying to sort out my headphones, in fact, because my other ones was dying. So apologies for that. Anyway, Q-Puck now currently in 4th position at the moment. A pretty strong first lap for him at this stage. And just make everything works out at the moment. My headphones are not picking up anything on my computer until now, I think. Go. The other headphones now work now. So anyway, as Sontag's just making his way back into the pits, but yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if most of those lap times were caused by some traffic there, Yuri. Especially the two Renaults who are down in 10th and 17th. Perinan currently in the drop zone at the moment as a result.
I think Perinan might have had a mistake somewhere on his lap. I don't think the Renault is even on a bad day. It's Q1 material.
Indeed so, and also as well, currently in the drop zone, we have Perinan, Valdinger, Videri, Wilson, Griffiths and Sontag at this stage. So that's pretty much that at the moment as we wait for the next ones to happen, and we're already going to get it in the form of Amelia Wilson, and you can see how long the pit lane exit is with this speed limit. I think the pit lane speed limit detection is right in the middle of that part, and yes it is, she's got off the pit limiter, so it's in between the right and left hander of the pit exit there as Wilson comes out onto the racetrack, currently in 20th position and looking to see if she can get herself out of the drop zone at this stage. But so far both Alfa Romeos currently in that drop zone, with Valdinger in 18th, Martin's currently up in 15th at the moment in the Aston Martin, so far in the top 16 threshold, but I think we're still yet to see the best of everybody at the moment, especially Amar Kar, who even though he got to the top of the timing screens, he was held up by Joseph Willows, and you just feel like there probably was more to it, there was probably more to that before we got held up by Willows.
Yeah, probably lost a bit of time in that, but I don't think he cares much with that lap he's through anyway.
Indeed, but obviously he will obviously go back out to try and see if he can further improve on that. But anyway, Wilson now then coming around the final two turns as she'll be preparing to start a second flying lap of Q1, and I do wonder if she's going to get held up this time by, given that usually traffic usually builds up on the second flying lap, especially drivers like to tend to go out a little bit later. But anyway, through turn 2 goes Wilson, and then into turn 3 she goes. Now, is there any traffic by the time she gets around the corner? There is, in the form of a Ferrari in front.
If the Ferrari is faster, then it's a slipstream, to be honest.
Potentially, it's Chris Chatfield, the Ferrari, that's in front of Amelia Wilson. Let's see what her first sector looks like compared to her personal best. 2 tenths up. So, yeah, a bit of slipstream there, and I think the Ferrari is probably going to get away because obviously it's a little bit more quicker than what the Alfa Romeo is at this stage, as now Wilson will make her way towards the double right-hander now then. And through the second part of that double right-hander she goes, and now she'll soon be approaching the end of Sector 2 very, very soon. Let's see if she's still up on her personal best. Let's see, and yes, she is, this time by 4 tenths of a second. So I think she could get herself into the top 16 for now, at least. Whether she'll stay there, though, that's going to be another question. But anyway, Wilson, out of the hairpin she goes, and now she'll make her way into the final couple of corners, and now into the final turn will go Amelia Wilson in the Alfa Romeo now then, as she'll make her way onto the pit straight and across the line she will go, and she goes into 15th, so she's out of the threshold but still not safe at the moment because people behind her could still improve. Valdinger on this occasion is the one who stayed in the garage, so he'll be going out a little bit later on this occasion. Roke not up on his personal best, only by 10th of a second. He's currently 5th at the moment behind David Kupak. So Kupak, obviously we know that this is Alpha Tauri's home race, clearly having some good pace at the moment, because at the moment Roke can't seem to better his best time unless he can find something in this last sector. Roke now then across the line he will go, and no he can't. 45 fans off and he stays in 5th position as De Rosa and Lopez are holding each other up, and both of them don't improve on their lap. Kupak, speaking of which, he's also getting held up this time by Joseph Willows in the second McLaren. Kupak across the line he will go. No improvement, stays in 4th. His car does improve by 4 tenths of a second. A 1:07.150. Evan Byrne is also on an improvement. Can he beat Carr to the top of the timing screens? Byrne across the line. No, he can't. He stays in 2nd place. 3 tenths off of Carr in the end. Patel up on his personal best across the line. Loses time in the last sector and doesn't improve. And I wonder if he... But yeah, and yes, he has.
He's gone off. Because...
he's gone off... He's gone off at the same place Wilson did in practice.
He had a purple sector too, so he was on a real push there.
Oh, indeed. Martin's improved, so does Galloway. Martin's 16th, Galloway 4th. Chatfield goes 4th now, so 4th and 5th from the 2 Ferraris. A similar sort of pace that we saw from the Ferraris in practice. Perinen now across the line. Can he improve? He can, but he's still 17th at the moment, so he's still in the drop zone.
He had a missed loop. He lost...
I don't know, to be honest, because it said 5 tenths, 9 tenths, and then 1.5 in the sectors remaining. So I wonder if Perinin is actually just struggling around here. I don't know, but anyway, obviously still plenty of time to amend that, of course, because it is quite a short track. But anyway, Mocho now then coming down the pit straight, across the line he goes, and Mocho doesn't improve. Sontag's up on his personal best, and he improves but stays in last position. Kloss, no improvement, he stays in... wherever he is at the moment. Quark stays where he is, which is P10, so the Renault's still struggling at the moment. Willows doesn't improve, he stays in 11th. Gal improves, he goes up into 11th place. Kloss is actually 15th at the moment, so not the best session so far. Verderi doesn't improve, he stays in the drop zone down in 20th position, and they are these runs done with. But yeah, very bizarre for Jesus Perinen at the moment, Yuri.
Yeah, he's now 2 poor laps in a row. Considering this is a short track and he's definitely getting the 3rd lap, needs to make it count, because dropping in Q1 in that car is not going to be a good look.
Yeah, indeed. And so far then in the drop zone we have Martins, Perinen, Valdinger, Verderi, Griffiths and Sontag. The 2 Williamses, the only drivers at the moment to be over 2 seconds off the man currently at the top, that being Armar. The top 3 so far being the same as what it was in practice earlier on. Carr, Byrne and Lopez, and Roque down in 7th like he was in practice earlier on. It seems that Roque's struggling to get things hooked up so far during this qualifying session, just like around this track at the moment. And I do think Roque has actually raced here before as well. I think, was Misano on the DTM calendar in 2016 from memory, if anybody in the stream chat can remember, because if it was, then I think Roque has also competed around here, because he was on the DTM grid in 2016, so I'm pretty sure somebody can go and double check that if they can. But anyway, we wait for the next runs to happen. It looks like Kirishima De Rosa is going to go out first this time, but we are expecting Bence Valdinger to also be out on the track, because he obviously stayed in the pits on the previous runs. So De Rosa now then, he'll soon flick off the pit limiter round about now, in fact, which he does, so it is in between those the right and left-handers. So De Rosa going out on track. There is a few more movements in the pit lane, as you can see on the top right of your screen on the mini-map there, as De Rosa now then coming around the left-hander now then. De Rosa making his way onto the back straight now, then he will go, and he will soon be coming towards the hairpin now then, and preparing for his next lap. Of course, De Rosa hasn't had that much running around here in Misano, because of course in practice he obviously broke down before he could even finish his lap. So that's pretty much that really there for De Rosa. It pretty much wrecked any running he could have had around this circuit, so he's had to do most of the catching up here during this qualifying session. Is now De Rosa. He has indeed. He's currently up in 9th place. His teammate Willow's in 12th. So far, a decent showing for the McLarens, considering their struggles during qualifying throughout the season. But whether they can keep it up or not is going to be another question. De Rosa now then just making his way into the final couple of corners now then, into the final turn and onto the pit straight will go Kirishima De Rosa in the BMW Power McLaren, as now De Rosa starts his lap as he makes his way towards turns 1, 2 and 3. He will go through turn 1, then into turn 2 he goes, and then through turn 3, just trying to see if there's any traffic, which there isn't. So De Rosa will get a clean lap, just gets out before Lopez gets onto the racetrack, and I wonder if Lopez is going to get held up by De Rosa yet again, because Lopez did get held up by De Rosa previously, so it seems that once again he's got caught up to the back of a McLaren there. De Rosa 1/10 up on his personal best in the first sector, 3/10 down, or he's just making a mistake through into the hairpin, so clearly pushing a bit too hard there, and was up on his personal best, but I think that lap has gone down the drain there, Yuri.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't too bad of a mistake, so let's see, but a 1/10 improvement would have meant that he's overtakes Mozzo, and now he's 2.5 tenths down, so that's about 3 tenths he lost in that mistake.
Yeah, indeed. So De Rosa looking like he's not going to be on an improvement. Lopez looks like he's going to actually get onto the back of De Rosa as a direct result, being in the faster Mercedes. And I think once again he might get caught up in some traffic as a result. De Rosa across the line and as expected does not improve, stays in ninth. Patel starting a lap, same with Galloway, Mocho. Now we look at Wilson, who's down on her personal best, currently just in the cusp of the top 16 threshold now then, as Wilson now then making her way into the final corner and onto the pit straight now then will come Amelia Wilson in the Alfa Romeo, as she's actually got Roke right behind, and both of them don't improve as a result. Valdinger didn't improve, he stays in 19th. Carr doesn't improve, stays on 1 minute 7.150. We now look at Davy Kupok in the Alfa Tauri. Doesn't look like he's on an improvement at this stage. Currently he's 6th for the moment. Looks like he's going to be safe to go through into Q2 anyway. But anyway, the German driver just making his way out of the final turn, and Davy Kupok is going to cross the line. No improvement, stays where he is. Laura Chung across the line, she's up on her personal best and goes into 10th position, gets in front of Roman Quark there. Perinen is up on his personal best by 2/10 of a second. I think, just trying to look at the gaps, I think he should be able to get into the top 16 threshold, but it won't be by much. He seems, again, just seems to be struggling around here on the Renaults, despite what they showed in practice. But on that occasion, Perinen finds some time in the last sector and goes to ninth. Byrne improves, but stays in second place. Joantis Martins up on his personal best, goes into 13th. A pretty good time there for him indeed. Lopez getting held up by De Rosa going to the pit, so as a result, he's not going to improve, but he's up in third anyway, so I don't think he's going to care too much about that. Patel not up on his personal best, currently in the cusp of the top 16, doesn't improve. So far, Kloss and Wilson have dropped into the drop zone at the moment, so Haas currently in the drop zone, despite what we've seen from Haas so far this season. Galloway doesn't improve. Michael Mocho just coming out the final turn himself, and he's now going to cross the line, no improvement, as Wilson and Coco in, as there is Andre Videri down on his personal best so far. Danny 20th is the Aston Martin driver, as he will now come across the line and doesn't improve, stays where he is. As we now look at Quarg, who's down on his personal best, so you have to go back a little bit to see who was next on the racetrack there. But anyway, as now Quarg making his way towards the quadruple right-hander now then for the first part, and again down on his personal best by a 10th. So yeah, Renault seemingly struggling in this session. Perinen 9th and Quarg in 12th, so not exactly ideal for them. I mean, they didn't have the best of qualifying last time around, in Baku being 7th and 9th on the grid. So yeah, that's that. Is now Quarg making his way into the final corner and onto the pit straight now then will go the Frenchman, as he will now come down the pit straight, and no improvement, he stays in 12th position at this stage, and that's that at the moment. Now, is anybody going to get out there and potentially do one more flying lap? For Kloss, he's currently on track, but he's down in 17th place, and I think we could be looking at a Haas elimination here in 17th place. Of course, we'll wait for clarity on that, but yeah, one Haas could be eliminated already, Yuri.
Yeah, that's a bit of a disappointment for Haas, because their car has been looking quick all season, and Mozzo is in the top 10, so I think you could say Kloss has been underperforming this season, as De Rosa is on track.
Yep, so he'll get one more flying lap in before the session comes to a close. Not like Wilson, or will she? Because of course it's a very slow pit exit, let's not forget, but I think she will be able to. So she's going to give herself, yeah, so she's going to give herself one more chance to try and see if she can get through into the final part of qualifying, as De Rosa is now out.
Moments of excitement for Patel, who's 16th.
Yep, indeed, and De Rosa now then just making his way around the left-hander now then, as De Rosa making his way through the double right-hander he will go. And so now he will start his lap as he will be starting his lap soon. But yeah, Patel is looking to get, well, in fact, Patel will need to pray, because of course Wilson has got one more lap to do, and Patel is hoping he doesn't get eliminated. But Kloss, a shocker there, he's been eliminated in Q1, and that's the first time this season I think a Haas has been eliminated in Q1.
Yeah, just not a good session for Kloss at all. There's no, I didn't see him getting held up even, so it's just not a good performance today. Oh,
definitely not. But De Rosa's just started his lap as the seconds tick down. As in fact, De Rosa's making a mistake, and again another mistake for De Rosa on that lap. 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and then 1 and 0, and the checkered flag is now out. That is the end of the session. Wilson is the only one who could push Patel out of Q1. Let's see what her first sector is going to look like compared to her personal best now then. And let's see, coming towards the end of sector 1, 2 attempts up on her personal best as she makes her way into the hairpin now.
That will be enough.
Be enough, but she will need to wait and see if she can keep this up in the remaining 2 sectors, of course. Flat through the first part, then breaking through into the second part before she makes her way onto the back straight. Let's see what it's like into the middle sector, of course. Of course, she has made a mistake through into this part during practice. Let's see in the middle sector. Still 2 attempts up on her personal best. So at the moment, it looks like, oh, it could be a bit tight because it is roughly about 2 attempts between Patel and Wilson. And Wilson didn't really gain too much in that middle sector. So we'll see what she's able to do in that last sector. So Patel is probably praying at this point he doesn't get eliminated. But anyway, Wilson into the final turn and onto the Prix straight she will go. Is she going to get through into Q2 across the line? And she can. She goes into 14th. That means Patel is out. As a result, Patel 17th, Kloss 18th, Valdinger in 19th. Derry 20th, Griffiths 21st, and Sondheim 22nd. And Wilson, by the skin of her teeth, just gets through into Q2. So Carburn and Lopez are your top 3, and your bottom 6, Rahul Patel, Bartosz Kloss, 2 shocks right there, Valdinger, Videri, Griffiths, and Sondheim. But yeah, Patel and Kloss, a Q1 to forget.
Yeah, with Kloss, just not a good qualifying pace with Patel. You saw that lap where he was up on Armour's first lap in Sector 2 and then made a mistake. So, just a costly mistake in qualifying, and that's what it's all about. You need to finish the lap.
Yeah, indeed, and it definitely shows. Well, we're just going to take a brief pause whilst we get everything prepared for Q2. In the meantime, guys, you can let us know your prediction on who you believe will be eliminated in the second part of qualifying. But in the meantime, I'm just going to mute myself so I can prepare for the tweet for Twitter. So apologies if I go a little bit silent for the moment. Okay, I am back, and the tweet is now up on Twitter. So that's pretty much that, really. And so that's that, really. So yeah, so that is Q. So at the moment, so obviously the biggest shocks, of course, I was just reading something there on Discord. So far, of course, then it's been a few shocks, but of course the only Haas now left in the session is, of course, Michael Mocho, and the only Lamborghini left in the session is, of course, Laura Chum, because Patel and Kloss shockingly getting eliminated in the first part of qualifying. And so it'll be interesting to see if Q2 has any surprises as well, because there was, as mentioned, what we saw in Q1, quite a lot of traffic that the drivers were having to deal with. So given that there's still going to be there's going to be 16 cars out on track in Q2, that could still be a thing when we get into the second part of qualifying. And who knows, really, maybe there could be an even bigger shock in store when we get there. But anyway, we're about to get underway for Q2, and it should be up on your screen very, very soon now then, and I think it is. Yes, it is. My YT is playing up on me today. But anyway, might as well ask you, Yuri, who do you believe will be eliminated in the second part of qualifying?
Wilson, Martins, Mozzo. Oh, I'm really bad at this. That's 3 cars. Then I think it's going to be the 2 McLarens and Perinen.
Okay, I'm going to go with, I think you've pressed that button there, which means that it only flicks through the television there. There you go.
Look, this is difficult doing 700 things at the same time.
Sorry about that, and now the graphics have now been glitched as a result of that. So,
why is Armour in the Renault?
It's a graphics glitch. What you just need to do is you need to just go into the menu. So press X. In fact, it's now says Chatfield. I think it's now been fixed, in fact. Just double check whilst flicking through everybody. Yeah, it seems that it's all fixed now. So just a little bit of a glitch there. But anyway, my predictions before we read everybody else's. I'm going to say Wilson. I'm also going to say Martins as well. A pretty good session from those two, it's fair to say. I'm also going to say, I'm going to say both Renaults, in fact, because they both looked off in Q1. So I'm going to go risky and say both Renaults. And I'm also going to say a McLaren. And I'm going to say Chung as well. I think one McLaren, judging from the pace that we saw in Q number 1, I think could actually make it through into Q3. But let's read everybody else's predictions now then in the stream chat. So anyway, Michael has said both McLarens, a Ferrari, a Renault, Amelia and Martins. So that's his prediction right there. It seems that's the only prediction at the moment that's come through the live chat. So only one prediction there, which is a bit of a shame. But anyway, as Chatfield just making his way through the quadruple right-hander. So far, there's still 4 more cars that need to come out on track, but I can just see on the mini-map they're about to come out. So Chatfield should not have any traffic issues whatsoever now then, as he makes his way into the final corner, and he's about to start his first flying lap of Q2 now then. So across the line he goes as he now makes his way down towards turns 1, 2 and 3 on the track, through 1, then slowing it all down for 2, and then around turn 3 we go now then, as around the right-hander goes Chris Chatfield, and now into the double right-hander goes the Ferrari driver through the second part, and then into turn 6 before approaching the end of the first sector. Let's see what his first sector time is going to look like then, and it is a 23.777 in the first sector. As now we look and see what everybody else is doing. A 23.608 for Quag, so he's up on Chatfield. So maybe the Renault's starting to turn it up a bit now, as Mocho does a 24.126, so down on both Quag and Chatfield by around about 4 to 5 tenths there. 24.144 for Willows there, so slightly down on Mocho there. 23.609 for Lopez there, 24.246 for De Rosa, as the middle sector time for Chatfield was a 46.104, 45.753 for Willows in the middle sector. A pretty good middle sector there, in fact, as sorry, that's Quag, in fact, a 45.753. But anyway, Chatfield across the line, a 1 minute 7.851, a pretty good time there from the Ferrari driver, as now Roman Quag makes his way out of the final turn, 3 tenths up on Chatfield, and goes to do a 1 minute 7.296, so goes 5 tenths quicker. Mocho across the line, only P3, 1 over a second off. P2 for Galloway, so he gets in front of teammate Chatfield. Q-Park across the line goes into 4th. Willows across the line in the McLaren goes into 6th. Lopez across the line, and he goes into 2nd, 24 thousandths off of Roman Quag. So maybe the Renaults are starting to turn up the wick now, it seems. Kirishima De Rosa goes into 8th. Here comes Juventus Martins in the Aston Martin. Across the line goes into 5th. A pretty good time there from there. So Martins, again, pretty impressive. Only P6 for Carr, because it looks like Byrne and Carr held each other up there on that lap. Work across the line, he goes into 3rd, 95 thousandths off of Roman Quark. Here comes Laura Chung in the Lamborghini. She makes her way out of the final turn now then, and Chung is now going to cross the line, and she goes into 7th place. Perrin across the line goes into 4th. So first
the
and 4th
Renault
now.
definitely woke up.
The Renault seem to have woken up in this session. P15 made that 16 now for Wilson because Gal has gone into 11th place. But so far, quite a lot of traffic again on that first lap. But again, Martin's being very impressive in that Aston Martin so far.
Yeah, very impressive lap from Martins. Even though I don't think that lap is enough for Q3, it's still very good. Faster than lots of cars that should beat him.
Yep, indeed. So far then in the drop zone, we have Gal, Kupok, Mocho, Willows, De Rosa, and Wilson. So both AlphaTauris in front of their home crowd currently in the drop zone. Mocho currently in the drop zone as well. Both McLarens are, and Wilson as well. Martin's currently in the top 10. But first and fourth for the two Renaults. And as you said earlier, a little bit earlier, Yuri, they seem to have woken up in this session.
I mean, this has been bit of a trend with the Renaults that they don't seem to perform up until Q2 begins.
Yep, and then they kind of seem to drop a little bit when it comes to Q3, as we saw in Baku last time out, where they only qualified 7th and 9th for Quarg ahead of Perinen on that occasion. Just under 10 minutes to go now then, as we wait for the second runs of Q2 to get underway.
I bet Quarg is wishing it's Q3 now.
Yep, and
qualifying.
Yes, indeed. As now wait, as there's going to be some movement. AlphaTauri are getting ready to release one of their guys out on track. I think Haas are getting ready to get Mocho back out on track as well, if I'm correct on that with the garages. As in fact, no, they just came to bring Gal back into the garage there, so apologies on that regard. So yeah, we'll just wait a little bit. In fact, as we have just over 9 minutes to go here in Q number 2 now. Then, as we wait for the next runs to happen in Q2. Just trying to look on a map. I think there is some movement. Who's just going down pit lane? It's Chris Chatfield. So he's once again going out on track first, just as he did earlier on. Currently 5th and 6th for the two Ferraris. So a little better than what we've seen from them previously. But it's whether they can transform that into the race or not. That's going to be another question there. As Chatfield now then making his way out onto the racetrack, and I've just realised, just like Portimao, there were no fans in the grandstand. So yeah, it seems to be a little bit of a similar thing with Portimao there. But anyway, enough about the lack of crowds in the stands. Anyways, Chatfield is now out on track. There are some. It's just clearly on the main bits. There's no fans. Yeah, so there is some, just not on the main grandstands, which is a bit surprising. But anyway, De Rosa is now out on track, looking to see if he can try and get his McLaren through into Q number 3 if he can. As Chatfield now then making his way in towards the quadruple right-hander. Whether he'll get traffic though on this occasion, he didn't previously, but whether he will on this occasion, we'll have to wait and see. As Chatfield now then making his way into the hairpin now, then flicks it in through the right-hander, and now heading in towards the final two corners will go Chris Chatfield in the Ferrari, as now into the final corner and onto the pit straight he goes, as Chatfield now then starting his next flying lap. And so now heading into the first few turns, there is a Lamborghini coming out on track. So that, of course, will be Laura Chung, because she's the only Lamborghini left in this session, because Patel got eliminated in Q1. Chatfield, no traffic for him again. So another clean lap for the British driver as he now makes his way through the double right-hander. He will go as now flicking it in into turn 6. Flat he goes, and let's see what his first sector is going to look like compared to his personal best. And he's 28 thousandths down on his personal best in the first sector, and so maybe it's still possible for him to gain some time back in the last two sectors, but we'll see. Wilson's still in the pit lane at the moment, but I think she's just coming out now, judging from what I can see in the minimap. It looks like two cars are holding each other up through into turns 1, 2 and 3 there, so that won't do their laps any good whatsoever, particularly for both Bird and Carr, who held each other up on the previous lap in 7th and 9th. They'll be hoping they don't hold each other up this time. Chatfield has found a little bit of time in the middle sector, but he's still 27,000 down on his personal best in the middle sector, so he only found 1,000th there in that middle sector, but let's see if he can find a little bit more in that final sector to see if he can improve. So into the final corner and onto the pit straight, then goes Chris Chatfield in the Ferrari. Across the line he will go. He doesn't improve and he stays in 6th position as Martins, Roke and Chung are just about to start their laps. Here is Kirishima De Rosa. He's down on his personal best by 0.5 of a second, so yeah, this is not looking like an improvement here for the Italian, as now De Rosa into the final turn and onto the pit straight he will go, as now De Rosa crosses the line now then, and he does not improve. He stays where he is. Perinen is holding up a Ferrari here, that being Galloway, so both Galloway and Perinen are holding each other up, which I don't understand why, because they're both up in 4th and 5th position at the moment. So, yeah, very, very interesting indeed. But across the line, Perrin doesn't improve, Galloway doesn't improve as a result. Byrne is up on his personal best, and luckily for him, he's not getting held up by Carr this time, and I would imagine that is the same for Armar Carr as well. But Byrne, can he get to the top of the timing screens? Byrne across the line, and no, he can't. Only P5 on that occasion. Gal across the line in the AlphaTauri, and he goes up into 8th. That pushes Martins into the drop zone. Willows goes 9th. That pushes Carr into the drop zone. Quark doesn't improve. Lopez also not on an improving. He crosses the line, stays in 2nd. Mocho does improve. Q-Pot goes up to 5th. That pushes Chung into the drop zone. Carr up on his personal best, and he goes up to 4th, and that pushes Willows now into the drop zone. So we're now starting to see some proper lap times here. Martin's not up on his personal best, currently in 13th position. Martin's across the line, no improvement, stays 13th. Roke doesn't improve, he stays in 3rd position. Chung is also not up on her personal best, currently in 12th position, and she's going to stay in 12th on that occasion, as Wilson is up on her personal best meanwhile, and she's up by 4/10 of a second, so she could get ahead of Mocho here into 14th position, but we shall wait and see. As Wilson now then into the final turn and onto the pit straight she will go, as the American driver crosses the line, and she goes up into 11th. She found a lot of time there and only just misses out on getting into 10th place there, so she found a lot of time in that sector alone. But yeah, pretty good lap there for Wilson.
Yeah, it's a strong lap.
Just under a second behind Roman Quarg, who despite all of that, still at the top of the timing screens. Now, I wonder how many are going to be able to get a 3rd flying lap in before the session comes to a close. But
I feel like everyone will.
Okay, we'll wait and see on that. But yeah, we got some proper lap time representation this time, Yuri, unlike previously where there was a lot of traffic.
Yeah, now the standings look pretty normal, let's say, compared to usual times. Of course, the biggest difference compared to Q1 seems to be that the Renaults have woken up, as I said earlier.
Yeah, indeed, and so far 1st and 5th for the two Renaults now. Then, of course, Perinen and Galloway holding each other up on that previous lap, as Yuri alluded to. A little bit of interesting tactics at play there for those two. And so we will
Great
now...
lap by Q-Poc, by the way.
Yep, P6 at the moment, and so far both AlphaTauris currently in the top 10 in front of their home fans, really. So far, Gal currently in 10th position, and be looking to see if he can hold on to that for the remainder of the session, as De Rosa is going back out onto the racetrack, looking to see if he can improve on that 16th position, as he now makes his way out on the track now. Then he will go, as he'll soon flick off the pit limiter, which he does, and out on the track then goes Kirishima De Rosa in the McLaren, as now he'll make his way towards the double right-hander through the first part and then into the second part. He will go, and so far the only one... well, now there's two cars on track, because Chatfield has now gone back out on track. 8th and 9th now for the two Ferraris, which is a bit bizarre considering what we saw from them in Q1. Whether they can get to both cars through into Q3, we shall wait and see, as both Ferraris are now out on track, because Galloway has also joined them.
Almost a half a second gap to the dropout.
Oh, but you never know, of course. There may be somebody who may be holding something back, as we've seen on the previous lap, of course. Carr also out on track, so he's currently 4th. So currently Roke separating the two Mercedes drivers at the moment, and the top three currently separated by 95 thousandths of a second, so pretty close there in the top three at the moment, as De Rosa now then coming towards the final corner to start what will be his final flying lap of Q2, and the last chance for him to try and see if he can get a miracle and get his McLaren through into Q3. Let's see, as he now makes his way into the first few turns, through turn 1 and into turn 2. Will there be any traffic? There are still some cars emerging for the pit exit, but I think De Rosa has got away with it, so no traffic for De Rosa on this occasion. The Haas too far away from him to get a hold of. That Haas, of course, being Michael Mocho. He's the only Haas left in the session, as... will all of them get out on track? Because there is just under 1 minute and 50 seconds left in the session. There's still two cars in the pit lane, that being Wilson and Martin, both of whom are in the drop zone. De Rosa 2 tenths up on his personal best in the first sector, so he's finding a bit of time at the moment, as Wilson is now the only one left in the garage. Is she going to get out before that 1:07 mark? You would imagine she would, but we'll wait and see, as now De Rosa coming up towards the middle sector now then in the McLaren. And let's see what his middle sector is going to look like. 3 tenths up on his personal best, but I don't think that's going to be enough for him to get into the top 10, unless he finds a lot of time like Wilson did on the previous lap and gets himself into the top 10. But we shall wait and see on that. Wilson has still not gone out on track, but there is a movement. I think she's now out of track. Yes, so she'll just have enough time to do one more flying lap and see if she can get through into the final part of qualifying. So everyone will have one more flying lap. De Rosa goes 11th, not enough. He did find some time in the last sector, but he is out. He goes up into 11th position. Chatfield down the pit straight and across the line. He will go, and he doesn't improve. He stays in 9th position. So no improvement there, and it looks like his teammate Galloway is also not on an improvement as he now comes out of the final turn and onto the pit straight now. Then Galloway across the line and no improvement. He stays in 8th. Carr is up on his personal best meanwhile, but he's still 2 tenths down on Quarg in the middle sector and only 43 thousandths up on his personal best in the middle sector. Carr now then heading out of the final turn and across the line. He will go now then, and he goes in and remains in 4th, but improves on his best time. Perinen across the line, no improvement. He stays in 5th. Q-Park now then out of the final corner. Across the line, he will go, and he doesn't improve, stays in 6th. Wilson will start his lap, but he's holding up the man currently at the top, that being Roman Quarg. He will get some slipstream, but I think his lap has already been compromised, and yeah, I think he'll also compromise Wilson as well. He says on 1 minute 7.296. Willows across the line, he doesn't improve. That means both McLarens are out. Willows remains in 13th. Mocho up on his personal best. Can he go into the top 10? No, he can't. He stays 16th, and he is out. That's the worst qualifying for Haas this season. Byrne goes up to 4th. Gal goes up into 9th place, so Chatfield just on the cusp. Roke is up, but he's being held up now by the Ferrari, and he won't be able to improve as a result, so he's not going to be happy about that. Not like he matters anyway. Lopez was also up on his personal best, but they've not been able to improve because of that hold up. I think Lopez was actually up on Quarg, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was by 2 tenths.
So Chung doesn't improve. She's out. She stays in 14th. Martin doesn't improve. He stays 15th. He is also out. And that is Q2 No, it isn't, because Wilson is out on the track, of course, but she's down on her personal best. And I think her lap has been too interfered by Roman Quarg. And yet it looks like she's not going to improve as a result. It looks like she's going to stay in 12th position, but still a decent qualifying for Wilson. She definitely needs that after what has been a very tricky start to the season for her, as now Wilson makes her way into the final couple of corners now then, and she's had to back off a bit because the Renault is coming into the pits there, so that's interfered with her lap there. Wilson down the pit straight and across the line she goes, no improvement, and she is out. She stays in 12th position, but that is Q2 done with Quarg top, Lopez second and Roke in third, and your bottom 6 being De Rosa, Wilson, Willows, Chong, Martins and Mocho. A disappointing qualifying, as mentioned, Yuri, for Haas, 16th and 18th on the grid.
Yeah, that was a definite off day for the Haas team. They looked more like last season's Haas, to be honest. But yeah.
Really, really poor for them, and a lot of work to do for them in the race tomorrow, that is for sure. But anyway, we're just going to take a pause for a moment whilst we get Q3 prepared. But in the meantime, you can let us know your predictions on who you believe will take pole position for tomorrow's San Marino Grand Prix. But in the meantime, I'm just going to get the tweet prepared for Twitter, so apologies if I go a little bit silent for the moment.
Hello, George, who's joined in the chat.
Yep, and just as you say that, I am now back. And that was a very interesting Q2. Renault finally waking up, it seems, and who knows really? Could they potentially be in the fight for pole position?
If they keep that up, they will. They seem to be the ultimate sandbag team this season.
Yeah, it seems so. We'll have to see though if they can keep it up in Q3 because, of course, we saw what happened. They can sometimes drop the ball when it comes to Q3, so we'll obviously wait and see on that. But still, don't count out Mercedes and Red Bull perhaps for trying to get a pole position here at Misano. You'd be a fool if you'd rule those two teams out. That is for sure. But
Yeah, I
anyway,
mean we are talking like this, and then fucking Lopez will come and take the pole by 5/10.
probably. Although hasn't had a pole this season as Lopez. It's been mainly Armar Car that's been getting pole for Mercedes. Of course, our streak came to an end, of course, at Baku last time by. Evan Byrne getting the pole position when it was all a one-day event, really, because of a last-minute thing that Yuri had to do last Tuesday. But yeah, that's that really. Haas, though, I mentioned it earlier, their worst qualifying this season, 16th and 18th, and a lot of work to do for both Mocha and Kloss tomorrow, being way down the order. And but for AlphaTauri, I think it's fair to say very good for them because I think, if I'm not mistaken, both of them have got through into Q3 in front of their home race. So anyway, we're about to get underway for the final part of qualifying, and without further ado, let's see who's going to get pole position for the San Marino Grand Prix. And I ask you, Yuri, who do you believe will take pole position?
Like I said, Lopez.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with. I think I'm gonna go with the opposite and go Armar Car on this occasion. And yet, both AlphaTauri is getting through into Q3, which is very impressive indeed. And they'll be looking to see if they can get a good qualifying session for both Kupok and Gal, of course. But we are now getting ready for the final part of qualifying. And of course, you guys can let us know your predictions in the stream chat. I've only had a couple going through at the moment, so I'll
It's
obviously
been a
read
low
out.
turnaround today.
Yeah, I think there's been a few people that have been busy today, it's fair to say. But, oh well. As now we have a look, as it looks like AlphaTauri are getting ready to release, I think, David Kupok out on track. Or is it Miklos Gal they're releasing on track? No, it is Kupok that's going to go out first onto the racetrack. And it looks like there is a few other movements as well. Don't know who it is that's behind him, but we'll obviously find that out a little bit. It's in fact his teammates. Are the AlphaTauri not wasting any time in sending both of their drivers out on track in front of what is essentially their home race, because as mentioned in practice, this track is literally not far away from their base in Faenza. So yeah, this is for them essentially a home race. As now Kupok now then just going around turn 6, and now he'll be preparing to start his lap very, very soon now then. As now, also onto the track is George Roke, so a Red Bull has now joined them onto the racetrack as well. So 3 cars currently on track, and so Kupot shouldn't get any traffic, but you never know, of course. Also on track is Roman Quark, the man who topped Q2. Whether he can keep that up in this final part of qualifying, we shall wait and see. Lopez has come out, as has Perinen, so we've got 6 cars now on track. Make that 8 now, so just 2 more left to go out onto the track. As Kupot now then into the hairpin he will go. As now Kupok approaches the final couple of corners on the racetrack now then, as he'll now make his way into the final corner, and onto the pit straight goes David Kupok in the AlphaTauri. All 10 cars are now out on track, so Kupok should not get any traffic as he now makes his way down towards the first 3 turns. Through turn 1, then into turn 2 he goes, and then around turn 3 he will go. Medium speed corner as he will now approach turns 4 and 5 very, very soon. And then he'll come out of turn 6, which will then take him towards the end of the first sector. Flat through turn 6 goes the German driver, and let's see what his first sector time is going to look like now then, as he approaches the end of sector 1. It's a 24.089 in the first sector that time by. A 23.816 for Gal. He's actually 2 tenths upon his teammate there, so Gal's had a better first sector than what Kupok has at the moment, as Kupok now then coming...
Quark in Q2 had a 23.6 on his first sector, so that's a good benchmark.
23.7 for Roke in the first sector, so he's up on both AlphaTauris there. 23.7 for Quarg as well, and only 100th up on Roke in that part. 46.508 for Q-Pock and 46.135 for Gal. So Gal's clearly got a lot more pace than Q-Pock so far on this lap. But Q-Pock now then coming out of the final turn and onto the pit straight. He will now go, and it's a 1 minute 8.572. Gal across the line, and he goes 7 tenths quicker to do a 1 minute 7.850. So Q-Pock way off his teammate, but Roke is up on both of them at the moment. He's up by a tenth on Gal in the middle sector. Roke through the final turn and onto the pit straight. He will go as Roke crosses the line in the Red Bull and goes quicker by 2 tenths of a second. Here comes Roman Quarg in the Renault. He's 35 thousandths up on Roke in the middle sector, so he found some time on Roke in that middle sector. Quarg across the line, and he goes quickest by nearly a tenth of a second. But what can the Mercedes do? Lopez is up on Quarg in the middle sector. Across the line, he goes quickest by 2 tenths of a second. Perinen across the line, he's 5 tenths off of Lopez, and he goes only 5th on that occasion. 7 tenths off on Lopez in the end. Galloway across the line, he goes in the Ferrari. Only P6 for him, P7 for Chatfield, so 6th and 7th for the 2 Ferrari drivers. Burn 1 tenth down on Lopez in the middle sector, so let's see what he can do. Can he get into second place in front of Quarg? Burn across the line, he will go, and he goes into second place, a tenth off of Lopez. Car goes second, so it's a Mercedes 1-2 after the first run. So Lopez first, car in second, Burn in third position. But yeah, he currently a Mercedes 1-2 in this session.
Yeah, Mercedes showing their pace in the first laps of Q3. I don't think it's done yet. I think that lap is still beatable.
I don't know why you're acting shocked about both AlphaTauris being through into Q3, Josh. It's not the 2021 AlphaTauri. They've got a much better car this season. Lol. Anyway, as they are the first laps done. Q-Pot down in 10th. P6 so far for Miklos Gala. Pretty good effort for him. 4th and 7th for the 2 Renaults. 8th and 9th for the 2 Ferraris. So same positions as what they were in Q number 2, so it seems that Ferrari, maybe it was just a little bit of false hope that they had some decent pace in both practice and Q1. But yeah, that's pretty much that. As now we shall wait and see who is going to be first to go out on track next, of course. Patel just watching on as a spectator, of course, because he got eliminated in the first part of qualifying. In fact, both Lamborghinis are not in the session. Chung getting eliminated in Q2. As we now wait for the second runs of Q3 to happen. Is there any more lap time to find for any of these guys? I don't think any of the drivers got held up on traffic on this occasion. So all 10 drivers were able to get a clean lap in. And Q-Pock, though, way off his teammate Cal at the moment by 7 tenths. So Q-Pock will look to try and reduce that deficit as much as he can on his second flying lap, because as mentioned, not really ideal for the German driver. Just over 9 minutes to go now then in this session, and so now we wait for the next cars to go out on track, or the first one to go out on track. So far no movement, although there is now, because the AlphaTauri mechanics are getting ready to send, I think, David Q-Pock back out on track, and yes it is, or is it? No, I think it's actually Gal they're going to let out on track first, I think. It is Gal, so Gal is going to go out on track first this time instead of Q-Pock, so AlphaTauri switching both cars around, it seems. So Gal is going to get out on track, currently in 6th place, and looking to see if he can better that, but so far pretty good qualifying for Miklos Gal at the moment. It's safe to say the last couple of races he has had a bit of bad luck on his side. Q-Pock has had better races compared to him, so we're looking to see if he can make amends of that here at Misano. And so far this qualifying session is definitely helping him out at this stage. He's out on track, Q-Pock is out on track as well, so yeah, AlphaTauri basically swapping both cars around. Roke has also just gone out on track now then in the Red Bull, looking to try and improve on that 5th position. As Gal now they're making his way towards the double right-hander now then, as Quarg has also gone out on track in the Renault to see if he can improve on his time. Of course, let's not forget, Quarg did top Q2 as well, so looking to see if he can try and maybe match that a little bit. Through into the the quadruple right-handers goes Miklos Gal in the AlphaTauri, as now he'll make his way towards the hairpin he goes, as he flicks it in through the right-hander. Still 3 cars in the garage, that being Byrne, Perinen and Galloway at the moment. Gal now then coming around the final couple of corners, so we're hoping he doesn't get held up by either of them when he starts his lap. Through into the final corner and onto the pit straight He will go as Gal starts his second flying lap of Q3 as he now heads his way down towards the first 3 corners through the first corner and then slowing it down for turn 2 and then around turn 3 he goes. A couple of cars have gone out on track and all side-by-side action is going on and Gal does get in front of Perrin, but I wonder how much that's cost him being side-by-side with the Renault there. There was no lift from Gal there, but it wouldn't have done his entrance into that corner any good. Let's see what it looked like in the first sector. 2 tenths down. So, yeah, the Renault there, Perrin, definitely compromising him there.
Yep, I think this lap is gone down the drain.
Up as Gal now then going around the right-hander. He'll now make his way onto the back straight now then as he'll now approach the quadruple right-hander. The first part being flat and then the rest of it, well, the first part of it and then a lift through into the third part and then braking for the fourth part of it, which is a hairpin, of course. And now through the hairpin he goes, using a bit of curb on the outside, as now into the final couple of corners goes Miklos Gal in the AlphaTauri through into the final corner and onto the pit straight. He will now go as Gal crosses the line, and he does not improve thanks to that. Perrin starting his lap, and he looked like he was losing a bit of time to Gal. Kupok up on his personal best. Can he improve? He can. He goes up into 7th, so 6th and 7th now for the 2 AlphaTauris. Roke is also on an improvement. Across the line, he will go. Can he go quickest? Yes, he can. By 19 thousandths of a second. Roke to the top of the timing screens. A 1 minute 7.2676. Quarg was up on his personal best, but has lost time in the middle sector. Quarg across the line, and he doesn't improve. He stays in 5th position. Chatfield through into the final corner. He's also not up on his personal best. Across the line, no improvement, stays where he is, as the 2 Mercedes are very close together, as Carr and Lopez... Both of them holding each other up there, Lopez and Carr, and both of them not improving. They stay 2nd and 3rd. Galloway not up on his personal best, same with Byrne, as Byrne is, in fact, they're not that far away from their personal best, but I wouldn't be surprised if Byrne is actually getting held up by his former teammate and for the man who actually took him out of the Korean Grand Prix a couple of races ago. Galloway now then through into the final couple of corners he goes, same for Evan Byrne as well, who's close behind him, through down the pit straight and across the line goes Jake Galloway, no improvement. Same with Byrne, he stays in 4th. Perrin not up on his personal best either. He crosses the line and stays where he is. I think he may have got held up as well by Kupok going into the pits there as they are these runs done with. But Roke, a very good lap there indeed, Yuri. He's now currently at the top of the timing screens.
Yeah, just about beating the lap that Lopez set up in the first runs, and it's looking like very close because everybody's going to get one more run.
Indeed. And everybody should be able to get one more lap in because there is still just under 5 minutes to go in this session. And so far, the AlphaTauri is looking pretty impressive so far. 6th and 7th at this stage.
Yeah, definitely their best session, best qualifying this season so far for them. Pace-wise, looking really strong.
Yeah, indeed, but whether they can keep that 6th and 7th, it remains to be seen. Perrin looking a bit off in this session. Again, Quarg seeming to have a little bit more on him in qualifying like he did in Baku. And Quarg seeming like he's got more pace than Perrin at this stage, but that could still all change in those final flying laps. So let's not jump to conclusions just yet. As now we wait now then for the next runs to happen. As we have just over 4 minutes to go in this qualifying session to determine who will take pole position for tomorrow's San Marino Grand Prix here at Misano. Roke, Lopez, Carr, Byrne, Quarg, Gal, Kupok, Perrin, Galloway and Chatfield are currently your top 10. The Ferrari is currently locking out row 5 at this stage. The AlphaTauri mechanics getting ready, and I think they're getting ready for Kupok to go out, but Roke might be trying to get out on track before him there. Let's see if he beats him to the punch. In fact, Gal does, but Kupok wasn't. He has had to wait for Roke to go by at the moment. So, yeah, that's not... worked as well as AlphaTauri were hoping to try and get both of their guys out at the same time because Roke has kind of broke up the flow on that, and I wonder if he's going to compromise, if both Gal and Roke are going to compromise each other as a result, but we shall wait and see. Of course, Kupok now out on the racetrack now then, as there's some more movement in pit lane there, but we ride on board with Miklos Gal as he just makes his way out of the left-hander, and so now Gal in towards the left-hander he will go, using quite a lot of curb on the inside there, as now he'll make his way towards the double right-hander through the first part and then into the second part. He will now go, as Gal now then just making his way down this back straight before approaching the quadruple right-hander on the racetrack. So through the first part, Then into the second part we will go. Then the third part, and then the fourth part we will soon approach. Roke is actually not close behind him, so I think Roke and Gal might just get away with it on this occasion. Same with Kupok, who's behind these two. Oh, that's a bit of a surprise. So obviously, let's not forget, Gal had his lap compromised previously. So whether there's still more in the tank for Gal, we shall wait and see. As he just starts his final flying lap now, then through into the first few turns. Now, is he going to get held up this time by through turn 2, then around turn 3? There is a car exiting the pits, but I think Gal is going to be okay. He is just going to be about to get away with it. I don't know about Roke, but I think Gal is okay. The Ferrari is too far in front of him to get held up there. So now coming out of the left, out of turn 6, let's see what Gal's first sector is going to look like compared to his personal best. 8 thousandths down on his personal best. He can still find some time in the middle sector if he can. So it's not really much there. And didn't quite read what that said from Roke there as I was paying it.
3 tenths down.
3 tenths down. So Roke is not on an improvement at the moment. Looks like he'll probably need to pray that he's done enough to get pole position in this race now. Then is let's see what Galloway's middle sector looks like. 46 thousandths down, so he's lost a little bit more time in the middle sector. So unless he can find a lot of time in the last sector, like we saw with both Wilson and De Rosa in Q2, I don't think Gal is going to be on for an improvement, but we shall wait and see. As Gal now, they're making his way into the final corner now, then he will go, and onto the pit straight goes Miklos Gal in the AlphaTauri as he now crosses the line, and he doesn't improve. He stays in 6th position. Roke doesn't improve, says a 1 minute 7.276. Kupok stays in 7th position. Quarg down on his personal best and still down by 4 tenths of a second. So Quarg not looking like he's on an improvement at the moment in the Renault as he just makes his way towards the hairpin now then. And it looks like Quarg is not going to improve on this occasion. Through into the final couple of corners goes the Frenchman, who got his first podium in 6 seasons last time out at Baku, as now Quarg crosses the line in the Renault. No improvement, and he stays in 5th place. Chatfield up on his personal best, but still 7 tenths off of Roke. Not expecting to challenge him anyway, but can he get a little bit higher? Can he get in front of Galloway? Across the line? No, he can't. He improves, but stays in 10th position. Lopez on his personal best, and he's purple on Roke, although he's had a flake coming out of the second last corner.
He's gone wide. He's messed it up.
Lopez has messed it up. He was purple in the middle sector, and he's messed it up. Perenin across the line. He will go, and he does not improve. Bernie's up on his personal best. Can he beat his teammate? No, he can't. He goes up into 3rd, and Lopez has chucked away what could have been a pole position right there, and he does not improve. Clearly pushing a bit too hard there, Yuri.
Yeah, he was... Look, you can see he was up on Sector 2, 45.6. And then on the final corner of the lap, just overdrives it and spins out.
And he'll be kicking himself
Another
in the
mistake for him this season.
Indeed, and I think he's probably going to be kicking himself about that one, because that could have been pole position right there, but obviously it's not. He stays in 2nd as a result. Galloway up on his personal best. Can he improve? He can. He goes up to 7th, gets in front of David Kupok there as a result. Carr, meanwhile, he's the last car to do a lap, but he's down on his personal best by about 3 tenths in the middle sector. So unless he performs some kind of miracle, I don't think he's going to improve. I think he's going to stay in 4th position, as now Carr makes his way into the final corner, and onto the pit straight will go the Mercedes driver, as he will now come across the line, and he doesn't improve. He stays where he is, and that is qualifying done. And that, as a result, means that George Roke is on pole position for the first San Marino Grand Prix since 2006. It's Red Bull on pole for the 2nd race in a row, but this time it's George Roke who's the man who's taken pole position by only 19 thousandths of a second. So I'm just going to mute myself and let you enjoy how Roke got pole position.
Great lap. Only sector you're not fastest in at the moment is the last sector by a couple of hundredths. We can't afford to slow down too much.
And that is how George Roque took pole position for tomorrow's San Marino Grand Prix. A very good luck indeed. Very, very lucky in the end that he didn't have the pole snatched away by Franco Lopez, but the mistake that Lopez made towards the end of the session, definitely costing him a chance to spoil Roque's party there. But luckily for Roque, he didn't, and it is pole position. But the question is, can he finally get his first victory for Red Bull and his first win since the 2020 German Grand Prix tomorrow? We'll have to wait and see. But here is your top 10 then. It is George Roque on pole position with Franco Lopez in second, Evan Byrne in third, with Amar Khan in fourth, Roman Quagg will start in fifth, Miklos Gala, very impressive sixth in the AlphaTauri, with Jake Galloway in seventh, getting a very good final lap in the end there. David Kupok in eighth, Jesus Perinen, another disappointing qualifying for him in ninth, off the pace compared to teammate Quagg again, and Chris Chatfield rounds out the top 10. The only driver to be a second off in Q number 3. But yeah, I think Roque has got to count himself very lucky there in the end, Yuri.
Well, lucky, but also, like I kept repeating after Q1, you need to finish your lap.
And Lopez didn't do that, and as such, he's probably kicking himself that a chance for pole position has gone away from him there. But there you have it then, guys. That has been it from the qualifying session here for the San Marino Grand Prix. I hope you have enjoyed it. A thoroughly entertaining qualifying throughout all of it. A very good first ever top-class qualifying session here here at Misano, and I do wonder what the race is going to have in store. I am very much looking forward to the race here at Misano tomorrow. But that has been it then, guys. Of course, there is no F2 this week. That series is having a week off. That will be back next week at Hockenheim. But until then, guys, that has been it. I hope you have enjoyed it. So thank you all for watching. I've been JW97. He's been Yuri, and we will see you tomorrow at 5 p.m. GMT for the 72-lap San Marino Grand Prix here at Misano. Till then, take care.
See ya.